Hello, and welcome to my fourth tutorial about the Flowgraph editor and BeamNG.drive. So in this tutorial, I kind of wanted to sort of round everything off and actually show you how to finish your project. What I mean by that is making this into an actual mission slash scenario. And what I mean by that, I hope it's kind of obvious. So when you go into your main menu, you can go to scenarios here, and you should see all the scenarios available to you here. These are all BeamNG's basic scenarios. These are two scenarios I'm working on. Quick shout out, my Blazing Moonhawk Scene 1 is already out on the mod repo. And this is the one I'm working on currently. I like to give it a big dev message here just so I know that I'm developing it currently so I don't accidentally send it out. But these are all scenarios. But I said scenarios slash mission. So what's the difference between a scenario and a mission? Scenarios can be missions, but I suppose not all missions can be scenarios. But what that means is scenarios are selected from this, the scenario list. These are self-contained one-off little game modes. Missions are exactly the same, except for you can access them through the scenario menu there, or when you're driving around in free roam or the campaign mode, actually, you'll see them here. So if you can see my mouse moving here, this is a mission. So a mission is basically a scenario that also has a space, a place in world space, an X, Y, Z coordinate. The other benefit of a mission rather than a scenario is a scenario you have to provide a car at all times for the player. But a mission, you can actually give the option to allow the player to use their own vehicle. So this is called cave crawling. If I view details, they have a suggested Ibishu hopper, or I can select player vehicle. That's the current vehicle I have right now. And there's also a lot of other things to do with ratings, attempts, giving you stars instead of medals. I'm still sticking with the medal system. I have actually worked out how to get stars working, but I'm going to make that into its own video because it's still quite rough around the edges. There's no information about it on the BeamNG repo or anything on the documentation. I think it's still like only for developers, but so I'm going to keep with the current system I have, which was you get a bronze, silver, or gold medal. So let's get started. So let me just get rid of this car first. I'm just hide it over here. Press F11. Open up the world editor. Go to Window, Gameplay, Flowgraph editor, and I'm going to find my tutorial mission, which should be at the top. There it is, tutorial flow. Let's pretend like I want to actually make my Flowgraph mission and put it over on the mod repository. So first I've got to make sure that my mod is good. So let's do some playtesting. And I've already done a little bit of playtesting on my mod and I found a few problems. I'll show you the first problem. So I'm going to press play. So I'm going to say start. And I'm just focusing because I want to make sure I win this one. Okay, so when I get to the end of here, rock should spawn. And, it said I failed. But I definitely passed the win condition. That's weird. That's already a problem. Another problem I've noticed is, if you remember in the previous missions, I had a prefab here. I had like a barrier here, and I had a piano there. So that's weird as well. So I'm going to press start. So let's figure out what's going on there. So I'm actually going to stop my mission first. Okay, so first things first, why is it when I passed the win point, and I definitely passed it because look, I remember the rocks falling, that was a custom trigger which had a flow switch, which is basically it's a one-way switch. It's off right now, but when you enter the custom trigger, it turns on the flow switch, allowing the flow to continue, which goes into a wait function, which goes into success. So I've already noticed the problem here. Remember, I have the game timer here, which is connected directly to the flow. It is constantly ticking. So here's the problem. I hit the custom trigger, and I can show you the custom trigger here. If you remember here, here's a custom trigger. I definitely hit that, and I saw the rock spawn, but I didn't win because the win was on a 4-second timer. So that's a problem. And the reason why that's a problem is because even though I hit the win, the timer doesn't know that. The timer's going to keep going regardless. So even though I got there before the 20 seconds I wanted to finish the mission, and that was here, by the way. If you click on my simple timer, the duration 20 seconds, it will still keep going. So even though I passed the goal before 20 seconds, I didn't. It kept counting past 20 before the win state could be called. So there's a few ways I could fix this. I could just give this a more time, so it will always pass the 4 seconds. I could get rid of this wait here and not have the wait for 4 seconds. But what I'm going to do, because I do like the wait, because I like to have little waits in between state changes and events, because it makes things feel a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more polished. So what I'm going to do, I will lower this down to about 3 seconds, but that's not going to fix the problem. What I need is a variable, and it was already open there actually. So I don't want this flow to constantly go. I first would like the flow to start on update. Say, okay, is the game running or is the game started? If yes, do the game timer. If I pass the goal, the win area. Let's make this easier. Rocks fall plus win. If I pass the rocks fall and the win condition, I would like to stop the timer because I know that I'm eventually going to get to the success. So what I would like to do is up here, I am going to go to my variables. And if you remember, I already have a isTimeUp variable and isCrashed variable. Remember, these two are just booleans. They just go true or false. So if the timer is finished, time is up, it sets it to true. I would like a game started, and I already made one. I actually remember I made this a while ago. And I think I can just use that one. So how I will do that is when I go to my, let's look at my full tree here. I enter the state, I set up the scene, I have an introduction. Once I press OK on the introduction, it goes into the gameplay. I either win or I fail. And from those two, I can basically go to reset or restart and do the whole loop again. So I need this in 2 places. Let's first go into the introduction. And in my introduction, you enter the state, and basically I just show a start screen. And when you press OK on the start screen or start, it just goes straight into the gameplay. So here, what I would like to do is add a new node, and I'm going to get my game started node. Now remember, when I create variables, they get created as nodes already. So there we go. I'm going to say set game started. By default, it's already off, and I'm going to set it to true. Boom. So when you go in through, there we go. And I would also want this in the restart. So in the restart, I would like to remember, and the restart basically gets all my variables from the previous state and says, okay, let's set the player's position, the rocks ID, and that like truck NPC. Also set up the ground markers, and then set the isTimeUp, isCrashed, and I want to set again the game is started. I want to set that back to false. And remember, the way I set the default value is this one here. That is the default value. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, great. So now when I go to my gameplay, when it's going up to the game timer, before the flow hits the game timer, I would like to know, is the game started yet? So I'm going to get the game started this time, which is just a bool, and then I would like a branch. So what a branch does is under logic, branch, there we go. And the branch essentially will take a flow and then it decides should it branch it off to true or false. So I'm just going to reflect whatever's in game started. So by default, game started is false. So false, I don't need to go anywhere because I don't want the timer to do anything. But when the game started is true, I would like the timer to go. And before I forget, I actually also need to set the game started variable to false after I pass the trigger. So started, set game started to false. So let's just click on the overwrite. I want you to be false. And as soon as you enter it, I want it to be false. And that's all I need it to do. And now this will definitely work. Start. Okay, so we're looking at the top for the time. There, you see the time stopped at 18 seconds? Oops. Ha! I crashed, even though I won. So let's add the exact same logic again. Okay, so I want this exact same logic here. So I can just copy both of these. Control C. Oh, actually, to make things a little bit cleaner, let's do this. Let's move it over here. And let's delete the crash detection. Remember that the crash detection works the exact same way. It is constantly running to try and detect if there's a crash, but I actually don't want to detect a crash if the game is finished or not started yet. So let's do that again. And let's try to recreate the exact same thing. I'm just going to get past the win line, but I'm still going to crash. Now, I don't care if the player passes the win line and still crashes, because I believe that once you pass the win line, you should win. It doesn't really matter if you crash afterwards, right? So let's go. I'm going to go there as soon as possible. You're going to see the time stop in the top right-hand corner. But I'm going to crash. Oh, no. But I still got a success. I still won. And that is perfect. Okay. Now, there is another... Now, let's fix the other bugs I've noticed first. So, let's stop this project running. And the other bug I noticed first was I've noticed my prefabs aren't getting loaded. So let's try to figure out what's going on here. So I'm going to quickly actually run the game one more time. And go to start. And I'm going to... Oh, here we go. I've already got an error here. I open the console with the tilde key. And it says, unable to locate my tutorial land internal file. And it shows you all the paths it tried to find it in. So that's interesting. It may have gotten moved due to the update, but I was also working on this in my spare time. I was trying to clean things up for this part of the tutorial, so I probably broke something. So let's just go to my setup scene. So remember, you enter the setup scene, fades to black, sets the time of day, sets the UI layout to be the correct UI layout, spawns in a prefab, and this is where the problem is. So I'm going to quickly type on, I'm going to go to select related files. I'll select the file from here. I can see it in the file viewer here. Gameplay, mission, small graph, two prefs. I'll just double click that again and see if that fixed anything. There we go, that worked. Now I can see that was a prefab I placed earlier, and so was that piano. Start. Now I'm going to quickly talk about some other bugs I've noticed. So I'm going to quickly just fail this mission. There we go, you crashed. Now, I'm holding the gas down right now with my finger, okay? I'm going to press retry. Oh, and you notice this? I'm driving even though I haven't started the game yet. Okay? Now, and see, and now I can't actually move afterwards. This is just it just happens sometimes. Oh, that also that AI was moving without me. So let's stop the project. Now, the easiest way to fix that problem was I should freeze my player car. So when I spawn my player vehicle, I should grab the vehicle ID, put it in here, and I think it does need a flow, so let's give it the flow. And I'm just going to say freeze the vehicle. So when I spawn the player, I freeze it. And let's quickly test it. So I'm holding down the gas again. Okay, nothing's moving. Start. Oh, but I can't move now. Well, I think it should be obvious why I can't move, because the car is frozen. So I'm going to go and unfreeze the car when I finish, when I start the game. So after introduction, again, start screen, it says get to the cave, scenario. And I'm going to just quickly bring in the unfreeze vehicle. So the same node, but under the freeze, I make sure it's unchecked. Oh, and I got to grab the vehicle ID. There we go, from my transition variable. Okay, press play. Okay, so again, I'm holding down the gas, and I can't move. But I press start, I can move. Isn't that great? Okay, now I've noticed a bug that I want to talk about. So remember, I have this AI guy here. I'm going to just smash into him. I'm going to press retry. Now, I haven't pressed start yet, but this AI guy, he's still moving. Now, look at this. He's gone. There you go. He's actually gone. He's not following his AI path, but his gas is on. What I've noticed is AI is essentially linked to the same problems that players have, where if the last thing I did was, let's say, press the accelerator or the gas, and then I restart the node mission, I'm guessing there's like a tick where it says, oh, player's gas is down, make player go. Same thing happens to the AI. So the best way to fix this is the exact same thing. Freeze the AI vehicle as well as the player vehicle. So what I'm going to do is go to my setup scene and just literally copy paste the code. So copy the code for the player here. Here's where the truck is spawned. And I'm just going to say the exact same thing. Just give it a flow here. Vehicle ID, freeze. And I'm going to go to introduction. The exact same thing. Control C, Control V. And I'm going to grab the truck from the transition variables here. So go to NPC ID. Give it the NPC ID. Give it the same flow. Oh, sorry. I've got to do that freezing stuff on the restart as well. Yep, got to do the restart. So let's find some space. Let's find some place to do it here. So this is the NPC vehicle. So let's just move these around a little bit. And I want the same. I want the same freeze unfreeze logic. So I already have the unfreeze logic here. So in the setup scene, I've got to copy the same thing. And I suppose I should do it for the player as well. I've noticed I can't. Yeah, whatever. I'll do the same thing for player. So let's just freeze. Control C, Control V. Never hurts. Anyway, so it's getting a little bit messy. Let's just make up a little bit of space here. That's for my prefab. Player ID into there. And let's put them apart the chain. Again, I like to chain everything up one by one. There isn't really a need to. You can put everything off on its own flow, but the programmer in me just looks at that as that's like sort of like, it looks like multi-threading. I don't think it is multi-threaded like that, but I prefer to have everything in a singular logic line just so it's easier to go back and debug it and look and see like, oh, I do this, then this, then this, so the problem must be that sort of idea. There we go. Boom. All right, now this should work. So let's press play. So again, truck is not moving, but he never did on the first start. And he should be moving. Yep, he's moving. A little bit slow to start. Retry. Now he should not move. Yep, that's good. He's not moving. Press start. And he moves. Great. Okay, so that's that bug fixed. And a quick thing I should mention, the gameplay. The AI follow path, I only give it a reset. I never give it a flow. It doesn't need a flow, I've noticed. A bit weird, but it just doesn't need a flow. It just needs a reset. I have a feeling the AI is a little bit bugged in this regards. I'll probably make a bug report for it later. Okay, and the last bug I want to talk about is, and I'll just show it to you quickly. I'm going to press play. Now, I'm in my mission having a good old time, but check this out. I'm going to hit into this, and then I'm going to hold the insert key, and look at that. I can reverse time, and I can even use the node grabber. I shouldn't be able to do that in a mission, right? Because people could easily cheat the game and stuff like that. So I'm going to exit out. And the way I stop that is when I set up my UI stuff, which I believe I do in the introduction. Oh no, I probably should do it right in the beginning in the setup scene. You'll notice right at the beginning, I enter the setup scene for the first time. I fade to black, which actually I don't need the fade to black. I think I just need the fade in from black, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I set the time of day, set the UI layout. That is what takes away my custom UI elements that I have. Like if you notice when I just play the game normally, yeah, sorry. When I play the game normally, I have like my recorder app here. I have the total distance. So I get rid of that with the set UI layout. However, not only do I want to set the layout, and by the way, the set UI layout is set to scenario mission. I think you can also just use the word scenario, but scenario mission works as well. That just tells BeamNG that it should load up this default scenario UI. So I'm going to want to type in the word block. Now, there's actually two. There's set input actions and set input actions filters. I've noticed the set input actions filters is the newer one, as in I've noticed BeamNG official Flowgraph missions use this one. I'll show you how to use this one first, and I'll explain the differences. But all this does is first I'm going to take the flow, put it through there. Don't need to reset it because we only use this once on the onload. And if you click on it, you can see here that it's got a toggle list here, and these are all the things that it blocks by default. So it's going to block me using fun stuff like the set your car on fire. It's going to block AI controls. It's going to block the vehicle teleporting, walking mode, vehicle switching, and all that. So we can test this quickly. So I'm going to press start, and I'm going to first try to reset my car. Does nothing. I'm trying to go back in time. I can't. I'm going to use a node grabber. I can't. I'm going to try the map out. Oh, I can use the map, which isn't surprising because the map functionality is in there by default. I think it's because when you're doing missions and scenarios, you can use the big map. I don't want that, so all I'm going to do here under big map, I'm just going to toggle that, and now I should not be able to access that big map. So let's just play again. Start. I'm going to try the map again. There you go. I can't access the big map anymore. And the other set input actions, they do the exact same thing. However, this one, it has presets, so it has scenario presets. So you can just go to scenario, and I think you just press add, and then if you go to actions, they're the exact same things. They're just grouped differently. The problem I have with set input actions was when I was trying to say stop the map from showing, so toggle map here. See when I click it, it goes off. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if I'm not supposed to be able to do that, but it doesn't give me that much control. So I don't like that one. I like the block input actions filter. Okay, but I believe that is all the problems I had with my mission before sending it out. So now let's get into packaging my mission. So I have fixed what I believe are all the bugs in my scenario, and I believe that this is ready to go on the mod repo. So first things first, I'm going to go to make sure I save with Control S, File, Close Project. It's very important you close your project, I find. We're going to just close all the Flowgraph stuff. I don't need this Flowgraph anymore. Now I'm going to go to Window, Missions, and Mission Editor. Now, here are actually all of the BeamNG missions. And I believe if you have modded missions, they would also show up here. So we have to make a new one first. Things first, we go to File, New Mission. The name of the mission is whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call this Tutorial Island, let's call it. It automatically makes a name for you and it auto IDs it for you. This is basically what the file name is going to say. And the zip file you get at the end will be like, 001-tutorial.zip. That would be the zip file. Mission type, definitely Flowgraph. And create mission. It's going to take a second. Okay, so let's go through this because this UI is not the most user-friendly, but granted, I'm pretty sure it's made to be used by the developers more than, us normal people. Got the name there, Tutorial Island, the description, and you can just write whatever you want here, obviously, something like that. Now, the start trigger here, this is if you want your mission to show up in the real world inside of free roam. To make this mission show up as a scenario in your scenarios list, it's very simple. There is an as scenario here, and something you definitely have to do here. You have to give an author name, I believe, James Simo, and you have to give a date. Sometimes it lets a date 0, and I'm pretty sure you get huge errors. Press now and it will give you today's current date automatically. This is Unicode, the Unicode time, so it's kind of, or Unix time, so it's kind of difficult to understand. But it really should just be now, honestly. Vehicle used. We are going to say provided vehicle. You could say own or provided vehicle. Again, that means if you're in free roam and you access the mission using one of those mission blips like I showed you, that would give the option. But we're just going to say provided vehicle. Difficulty, it's up to you. This is a very low difficulty mission. Group ID, label ID, you don't really need to bother with those. I don't even know if these... Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what they do, I'll be honest with you. Now, you might have noticed these little red translation things here. You can ignore those. I talked to the BeamNG devs. These are pretty much internal use only. You can't add your own files to the translation. What this means is instead of just writing a text here, what the BeamNG devs do, so I'm going to quickly save this first so I can click on other missions. You see here the name of this mission isn't like, hill automation track hill climb. It's missions.automation.hillclimb.title. And you can see they have a green icon here. That's because this gets from the general translation file in the root of BeamNG. You cannot add to this file yourself, unfortunately. Just want to say that. Let's go find my mission. Now to find it, I can just type the word toot here. There we go. Tutorial. Boom. Okay, so I skipped a bit, sorry. I did forget that we do need to have a preview image. So you can hover over here and you need to have a preview image, which I believe is a 1080 picture basically. You can get it many ways. Some people, you take a screenshot. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to click on this file, the file finder here. It's not actually asking you to find the file, it's just showing you where your tutorial is. So I can click on my tutorial here. And in here, I have to put a .preview.png file in here. And I've already made one in Figma, so I'm just going to go drop that in now quickly. So I have dropped my preview file in here, and it is a .jpg file. And I'm just going to quickly go back to my Flowgraph. I'm going to press S to make sure it's saved. Now, it hasn't shown up here, but I believe if I go to File and Reload Mission System, there we go, it's found it. And you can type the preview here to see the image. Always show preview just so you guys can see it. And again, you should offer a thumbnail, especially if you're planning on this mission being used in free roam, but it's not like necessary, so I'm not going to do it. But it's the exact same way. I think this is everything. There's only one problem. If you go to my mission type, there is a Flowgraph file in here, okay? But this is an empty Flowgraph file because it makes a Flowgraph file for you. So, and if I go to Open Flowgraph Editor, or Open Flowgraph Project and Flowgraph Editor, you'll see here that this isn't my project. It has like a loading. Now, this is actually very useful, and what I would recommend for people to do, because I only found this out later in life, you should probably make the mission first and then build the Flowgraph mission by doing what I just did and adding your Flowgraph mission into here. I showed you Flowgraph first because I was excited to show Flowgraph, but I kind of forgot you need to build you got to build a mission around it. But this isn't my mission. It's very useful. It has stuff like a reset counter. It has an intro sequence with a countdown, which I didn't go into, but a countdown's like a timer state. And it also has a time limit. So this is extremely useful. So I don't know if I need to edit my first video I made, but you should probably make the mission first. But a lot of people would rather play with Flowgraph first until they find something that works, and then later make it into a mission. So that's what I'm showing you. But anyway, this is very useful. I like it. It's very clean. It's made for you. I'm going to close project because that's not my project. That's not my Flowgraph mission. So I'm going to click on the file viewer thing here, show in Explorer. Okay, so I'm inside my mission now. You can see I'm in my, it's in app data local BeamNG.drive, the version number, yada, yada, yada. This is all correct, but if I go back to my Flowgraph, can you see Toot prefabs here? This is actually where I kept my real tutorial. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy the tutorial.flow and the prefab, because remember that's the prefabs I made and I fixed earlier this episode. And go Flowgraph, go into my new tutorial I made, and I'm just going to paste it in here. And all I'm going to do is delete this Flowgraph that they made. Bye-bye. And the tutorial I'm just going to rename to Flowgraph.flow. There we go. And that should work. And let's test it. So I'm going to go back into BeamNG. I'm going to save, and I don't need to. File, reload mission system. Now, you're tempted to press play here. I'm going to press it now, but I'm pretty sure this never works. I'm just press it. Yeah, it never works. I don't know why. It takes whatever car you have and spawns it like normally under the map. I don't know why it does that. It just does. Just press home. Okay. So let's go back. I've already saved this. Let's press close. And let's exit out of the world editor. And with any luck, I'm going to press escape. Main menu. Scenarios. Up, and there's my tutorial. There it is, Tutorial Island. And I could play it. There we go. And I can see my prefabs here. I can see my AI car, start. This all seems to be working fine. Now, I have a little problem. Well, it's not a problem exactly. Oh, and I can't actually exit out of the world editor. I have to press escape, and I get this nice UI here to say, oh, do you want to abandon or reset the mission? I'm going to abandon it. Sorry, I should click. Yeah, there you go. It's a little bit slow. Now that all works fine, but I'm a little unsure if it's reading the prefab in my folder that I moved or if it's reading the original one. Now, there's a few ways to test this. One way would be to delete my old tutorial here, which I could just do that. Maybe to keep things clean, I could delete this. Okay, and I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to press Control L. That's to force reload the lure, and that's the same as reloading the mission system. And then I'm going to retry my scenario quickly just to make sure that it works as a contained project. Okay, well, my prefabs load just fine. That's good. Now, you might think that this is ready to go as a completely self-contained mission, but there is one more test I like to do. And that test is, I like to take my tutorial and put it in a completely clean environment. Now, why? Because my problem is, I actually develop a lot of missions. And sometimes, when I'm working on something, I'm not tracking all the files I used. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the tutorial here. Copy, copy, copy. I'm going to go into my BeamNG.drive directory here. I'm actually going to rename this 1034 folder, okay? Sorry, 0.34 folder. And I'm going to rename it to anything, okay? I'm just going to say hide for now. Oh, I can't do it because I'm in BeamNG.drive, so let me just quickly close BeamNG.drive. Okay, so after I close BeamNG, I'm going to rename this to -hide for. Now, it doesn't matter what I name it as long as it's not 0.34. Now, why am I doing that? Well, if I reload BeamNG, you'll see there it's actually recreated the 0.34 folder. But this folder is completely stock or empty or clean, right? It's got nothing in there pretty much, which is good because I really want to test my tutorial I just made in a clean environment because I'm not exactly sure what is there and what isn't there. And I actually know there's going to be a bug already, but I'm going to show it to you anyway and see if you can follow what's happened here. So what I want though, I'm going to go to 0.34. Remember that my mission is currently in my current mission. If I go to my original one, it's under gameplay, missions, the map name, in this case a small island, Flowgraph, tutorial, and then it's in here. Now, how BeamNG mods work is we copy the exact directory that our current mission lives in. So right now our mission lives in gameplay, missions, the name of the island, or the name of the level, Flowgraph, and then this is where our mission lives, and everything should be self-contained in there. So I'm going to go back to gameplay. Oh, sorry, go to the root. I'm going to copy the entire gameplay folder. I find this the easiest way to work because it maintains my folder structure. And I'm going to put it inside the mods. But I want to test this in the clean environment, so I'm going to go to my new 0.34. And I'm going to make a new folder first called mods. And then I'm just going to paste my entire gameplay folder into here. And then go into my gameplay folder and delete things I don't need. So I don't need races, and I don't need common audio. Go into missions. I don't need the automation test track missions. I don't need my industrial missions. I don't need West Coast USA missions. I do want my small island mission. And it's got Flowgraph. And luckily there's only one Flowgraph mission in here. Great. I still need to put you in your own folder. And the folder can actually kind of be named anything, but it's probably a good best practice to call it what your tutorial was. As I'm going to go tutorial 001 or whatever. And then put it into there. Put my gameplay into there. And I almost forgot, I need to go into new folder. I need another folder called Unpacked. So the mod, so they know where to look for. So there you go, mod Unpacked. There we go. And now if I go back to BeamNG, I'm going to press Control, back out of here, Control L. And I can see the repository's already picked something up. There we go. Sorry, it needs to go in Impact. There you go. Tutorial 001, description unavailable. That's fine. That will all be made when I package this. So I am going to go here and I'm just going to say pack. There we go. My mod has been packed. Now let's test it. So it's already active. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to scenarios. And there's my tutorial island, which is good because that means it works. Because remember, this is a completely clean install. But my tutorial island's there and it only lives in the mod folder. So I'm going to press play. Now, I actually know there's already a problem with this. Because I know for a fact I've forgotten a file. Okay, so I'm in the mission and I'm going to press start. And I already know what's going to happen. Oh, so no error message, which is good. But have you noticed something? The truck isn't moving. Now, I knew it wouldn't move because there's a file I forgot. I brought the prefab file and it works because I can see this prefab here and this prefab here, so it works. The timer works and it will time out soon and give me a game over, but that truck isn't moving. And if I press the console with the tilde key, I'm going to see if it's giving me an error or not. How interesting, it doesn't even give me an error. But I know what's happened. Remember, the truck has a replay file attached to it. So, and I did not include that replay file. I know for a fact I didn't. So, how can we fix this? Well, it's actually quite simple. First, I'm going to go to my main menu. And I'm not going to go ahead and fix it on my other, I have my working directory, the one that I renamed, and this clean one. I'm actually going to fix it right in this clean one here. So I go to repository, go to my mods manager, click on the tutorial. I want to unpack it. And by the way, packing and unpacking, all it really does is put it in a zip file for you. But I'm going to unpack it. Okay? Then I'm going to open it in my Explorer. And I'm going to keep that open, and I'm going to go over to my old working directory, the one that I renamed Hide for now, because I know that has everything that works in there. And I have just got to go ahead and find that replay file. Now, I believe it literally lives under replays. Yep. Under script AI, tracks. And I actually have a lot of them here, but luckily I named my one Toot MD series because it was an MD series truck and it's for my tutorial mission. Now again, I could copy it, but remember the file has to have the same file path. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my hide now, replays, I'm going to Control C it, and then bring it over to my new clean directory. Go under mods, unpacked, my tutorial, game. And actually it goes in the root, doesn't it, of that, in the same level as gameplay, so I just paste it here. And again, because I don't want to give everyone on the repo all of my replays, I'm just going to go in and delete all these old replays. Go into my script AI, go into tracks, and remove everything that's not needed. So all of these are not needed except for my Toot MD series. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to BeamNG. And I don't even know if I need to force a reload of the Lua, but I'm going to do it anyway. So Control L. And I don't have to pack, I don't believe I have to pack a mod to use it. Let's test it. So let's go to main menu. Let's just see if it's in my scenarios still. Yeah, it's still in my scenarios. I think I can play it even when it's unpacked. So let's just test it now. Let's go to Destroy Island, play. Now, hopefully, I'm going to see my MD series move. Okay, my MD series there. I'm going to press start. And hopefully he's going to start moving. There we go. He's a choochin'. He's a moving. Yep. So that works. The script AI is working. My prefabs are working. The crash detection is working. And the last test to do is if we can win the mission. Ugh. Yep, everything works. You are WinRAR. Now, I did say I would go into how medals work. I'm kind of out of time for right now, but I will talk about it in a video if like enough people ask. But I hope you could be able to figure it out by you know, opening the world editor. I always find a really good way. Going to the Flowgraph editor and just loading previous missions done by the BeamNG team. They have a lot of like, the secret sources in there. Just go to your repository. Make sure your mod is packed. So go to pack it. It is now a zip file. That is the zip file you upload. And you'll see it here, tutorial 001. That is the file you go and upload to the BeamNG website. That's your mod. And they should inject stuff like the icon and I think the description for you. They'll do that when you upload it to their website. Okay. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great new year. First video of the new year.